Soccer Manager 2026 has officially launched today, and I'm bringing you the ultimate guide to getting off to a good start. Best teams, signings, tactics, and how to use your gold and manage your economy. Whether you're a beginner or a veteran, this video will save you from many mistakes and teach you a lot. Tactics and gameplay. In Soccer Manager 2026, the game engine aims for your team to be physically strong, so players' physical attributes are key to differentiating a midfield team from one that's fighting at the top. You have to look at your players' attributes to know what tactics to use and what roles to assign them. If you don't know how or are too lazy to look at the attributes and create a tactic based on them, I recommend trying what I think works best in gameplay: direct passes or long balls, a team that plays and accumulates players in the center, and a defensive line of at least 4 players. Pay attention to how your team responds in gameplay and adjust your tactics based on the results through trial and error. I also recommend using at least 2 different tactics, and filling all the tactic slots would be ideal. I say this because in Soccer Manager 2026, it's much more noticeable how each team plays, and any team can counter your team and therefore have a higher chance of having a worse result. Additionally, the AI changes your tactics mid-match and can go from playing defensively or balanced to going all out on the attack. This is when it would be interesting to change the tactic to a direct counter style of play. If you weren't playing that way, this is just an example. If you want to start with a strong tactic, I'll leave the best Soccer Manager 2026 tactics in the description and final screens. Extra tip: chemistry is key, so try to keep it as high as possible. By the way, if you want me to make a complete training guide or a top team list to start with, let me know in the comments. That way I know what content you want me to upload first. Club facilities. Let's start with the club area. The first thing you should always improve is the club area facilities, just like every year in Soccer Manager. No matter what team you have, you always have to improve the club area to the maximum, without exception, because they are very cheap. They give you a lot of money with each improvement, and they also reduce injuries by up to 50%. Without improving this, it's very likely that sooner rather than later you'll be in the black. Improving this is really important for your economy. And with the sponsor, always choose the second one, the one that gives monthly money for a season. It seems less than the 2-season sponsor, but it's renewed every year, and in the long run it gives more, since as you improve the facilities, the value, and the rating of your team, higher value sponsorship offers will arrive. You can upgrade the scouts if you want, especially if you want to scout other continents, but I think they perform quite well at the initial levels and I wouldn't see the point of upgrading. It's an unnecessary waste of money. The Youth Academy depends on the type of career you plan to pursue. It's worth upgrading if you're planning a very long career, more than 5 or 7 seasons. Otherwise, wait until you're lucky enough to find a youth player with good potential. The better the Youth Academy, the better they'll be, with more potential, and they'll arrive much more frequently. At the lower levels, they arrive every 6 months. At the later levels, they arrive every month, greatly increasing the likelihood of receiving good players. This section of the facilities is a gold mine. The problem is that upgrading it is very expensive. Plus, if you complement it with managerial upgrades, you can build an entire youth team in the long term and become the best team in the game by far. Now, moving on to training. Training well is key to progress. The training sessions that can't be missed are tactical training to improve team chemistry and physical training to help the players regain energy. And when you unlock the main coach, set them to physical, since, as we know, the game's meta is to have the best physical attributes, and that's what we'll want to be boosting. As you improve your training level, slots will be unlocked to add more training sessions. The order will be whatever you choose. I recommend looking at the players who are progressing the most on the team. If there are a lot of forwards, put them on attack. If there are a lot of defenders, put them on defensive. And if there are a lot of midfielders, put them on coach. And they should progress faster that way. Reminder: chemistry only increases with tactics, so never leave it aside. I have some great advice to give you, and that is, the worse your team is, the cheaper it is to improve the facilities and the stadium. I recommend investing much more in facilities than in signings with small teams, since upgrading the stadium to the max is very cheap, costing no more than 20 or 40 million. and with a big team, it can be triple that. So, my recommendation, in summary, is to improve the club's area and the stadium, as this is the most important aspect for the club's economy, and then assess whether it's worth investing in the other facilities. Finances. I've given you half of the advice for improving finances in the facility section, so I highly recommend watching that part of the video if you haven't seen it yet. But I'll give you a few more tips. You have to sell all the players who are going to play very little and have a high salary. That will depend on your team and your planning, so I can't give you examples. And I tell you not to get attached to any player, as there are always very good options. If you receive an offer for any player at double their price, you can accept, unless they're irreplaceable. Soccer Manager always releases players with a rating of over 85 as free agents from the second season, and especially from the third and fourth seasons. So, it'll be easy for you to sign highly rated players without spending any money, so a good, timely sale will do a lot for your team's finances. But let's move on to some transfer tips. Transfers. When starting out, free agents are gold, and I'll explain why. For starters, you don't pay huge amounts of money for agent fees. Some are starting level players, and you can sell them later for more. Also, consider players with 12-month contracts. They usually come in much cheaper than their actual value. If you have to bring in players on loan, they must be players who are on the reserve team of any team from your own country. This must be the case because Soccer Manager has a schedule that makes players who aren't from your own country unwilling to go on loan to your club. For example, if I'm with Wrexham in England, I can't bring in anyone on loan who isn't currently in an English team. I couldn't bring in anyone from Barcelona. I'd have to go to Chelsea, for example, to be able to bring in players on loan. A trick is to bring them in on loan for 2 years with an option to buy, which isn't mandatory. It's optional and will appear after 2 seasons. So, if the player progresses and goes from being valued at 7 million to 20 million, you can sign him for only 7 million. A tip: be careful not to spend gold bars at the beginning. Always save your gold bars, because they're limited at the beginning. And when searching, always remember to have the interested party button activated. Manager improvements. One of the new features in Soccer Manager 2026 is the change to the manager's attributes and points. There are now 3 improvement trees. My recommendation is to be clear about what you want to do in the game before improving. I do recommend improving the first point of training, because that unlocks the extra training slot. But for everything else, it's a good idea to read what each section gives you and know what you want in that game. Manager points are earned by leveling up as a manager, and they're very slow to earn, so you have to manage them carefully. Each game will reset your points. They don't carry over from game to game. So if you're only going to have a few seasons, I recommend not spending any, at least at the beginning when you have a few. I had a lot of points, I upgraded the training to the max for a video, and I spent half of what I had. They're earned slowly and used up quickly, so be careful. One tip to improve your level quickly is to play as many friendlies as you can, since you gain experience by playing matches. You could also join any national team and thus earn more matches. Gold bars. A lot of people ask me, how do I have so much gold? Not only do I have a lot of them because I spend very little, but also because this year there are so many ways to get a lot of gold in the game. The main ones are the daily, season, and club objectives. Just by playing, they're already giving you a lot of gold. But there are also events coming where we can get even more gold. This year, they disabled gold when leveling up. But it won't be noticeable, since the objectives give a lot of gold. Best teams to start with. I'll give you 3 teams to start playing with, teams that are fun and challenging so you don't get bored. Strasbourg from France, a team with many wonder kids, is affiliated with Chelsea, and I think it's an interesting challenge to break the dominance of Paris Saint-Germain from France. With a project that consists of developing the young players you have and signing Chelsea players. The second team I recommend is Bayer Leverkusen, a team that has sold its top stars, recently changed its manager, and should continue to compete in domestic competitions, as it seems in real life that its level will drop significantly. It also has many interesting Wonder Kids, so it's a fun challenge. And finally, I recommend Boca Juniors. The goal is to dominate Argentina and compete head-to-head with Brazilian teams in the Libertadores. This year, it has virtually no good Wonder Kids, but that's where you come in. You can develop the Youth Academy to produce interesting Argentine players. And these are the basic tips to get off to a good start in Soccer Manager 2026. If you're a beginner, this will give you a solid foundation. If you've been playing for a while, it'll surely also help you better organize your careers. Leave me any questions in the comments and tell me which team you'll start your career mode with. Subscribe because I'll be uploading many more Soccer Manager 2026 videos with tactics, Wonder Kids, and advanced guides. See you in the next video.